It was historic and heated. Less than 24 hours after our ABC News presidential debate, the issue of race is creating quite a conversation. After this moment, my producer Diana Paulson actually captured in the spin room via her cell phone right after the debate. Take a listen.
President Trump, I'm Yusef Salaam, one of the exonerated five.
Sir, a member of the Central Park Five.
I'm Yusef Salaam, one of the exonerated five.
You're on my side.
No, I'm not on your side.
Donald Trump actually confronted right after the debate by Yusef Salaam. You saw right there one of the members of the so-called Central Park Five, the group of teens who were wrongfully imprisoned for the assault and rape of a jogger in 1989. At the time, Trump called for them to get the death penalty, but the group was later exonerated. Yusef Salaam is now a New York City councilman and came face-to-face with the former president, as you saw right there in our spin room last night. Joining me for more on this and, of course, more on the presidential debate, and NAACP President Derek Johnson. Great to have you in studio.
Good to be here.
What a night it was last night.
It was interesting, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, all right, and we're going to dive deep on that. But first of all, what did you think of that moment right there with Councilman Yusef Salaam?
It further cements in my mind that former President Trump have some mental health issues here. He didn't even recognize who he was. As much of a topic this has been during this campaign cycle, I think he has serious cognitive decline, and we need to pay attention to that. It demonstrated itself during the debate, and people who've been around him are also saying the same thing. He's angry, he's easily agitated, and he talks in a loop. He repeats the same thing over and over, not to mention some of the nonsensical things that's coming out of his mouth.
You know, we should point out that clearly we don't know anything about his mental state right now. We do know that he gets angry. We do know how he lashes out in times like this when he gets angry. But with that said, you know, we did see what happened with Joe Biden as he got older, and there were concerns about his mental acuity, and then he stepped out of the race. Furthermore, well, a lot more to see as time moves on. But again, we haven't talked to Trump's doctor, of course. These are all just sort of perceptions from folks like you and others. But I do want to ask you about Harris. Let's get back to the debate. She accused Trump of using race to divide the country, citing the Central Park Five. And we just heard from Yusef Salaam. Also, the lawsuits against him for racial discrimination. Trump called it old news. What's your response?
Well, if people are still being impacted and affected as a result of prior behavior, it's not old news, it's current reality for those individuals who are affected. And NAACP, we're nonpartisan, and so we've been monitoring this debate from the perspective of what are the public policies that are being advanced. And what we heard from Trump was more nonsensical statements and rhetoric. The fact that he would go to talk about people eating cats and dogs out of the blue, something that can easily be verified, and he used that in a response to something, brings us real serious questions. We want to hear, what would the next president do in terms of quality of life? How could people be improved or their station be improved as a result of the public policies? But what I heard was more rhetoric, nonsensical attacks, and that's unfortunate because this country cannot be a leading nation if a candidate cannot discern facts from fiction, to verify information that he's seen or says he's seen on television, and pick up the phone and call, you know, a city official in that city. I have serious concerns.
Well, and not only did the president talk about this in the debate, claiming that Haitian immigrants in Ohio are eating people's pets, his vice president, J.D. Vance, also doubling down on that. They're putting it all on media reports, saying that they saw interviews with residents. But I mean, look, you're tied in with the Haitian community. Have you ever heard anything of this nature? Is this a concern to the NAACP and President Johnson?
It is one of the most offensive statements, political tactics that I've ever seen. It plays on fear, race, and xenophobia. There is no verifiable account that human beings are eating pets in any of the 50 states in this country. And so either is a cognitive decline or a strategic approach to use race, xenophobia, and fear to try to get voters. We cannot continue to prosper as a country if we use those tools of division to try to drive votes. And that's unfortunate.
Appreciate your response. This is the first time actually we're hearing you on this, and it is a story that's been making a lot of news, and we just made news right there. So I appreciate you responding to that. Joe Biden was able to eke out a win, by turning black voters to the polls. Do you think Kamala Harris can do the same thing? And I guess it's a twofold question. Do you think she can do the same thing? And what is the NAACP doing to support Kamala Harris and get, black folks to vote for her?
So first of all, we're nonpartisan, so it's not about Kamala Harris. It's making sure that people have access to cast an effective ballot, and that's our job. We are recruiting volunteers to impact 14.1 million voters. We have a text program where people text the word volunteer to the number 20707, and we don't tell people how to vote. President Biden won.
But you've been clear about your concerns about Donald Trump, that is for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've shown support for Kamala Harris and things that she has said to support.
We support the public policy, not the political party or
Gotcha.
the people, right? Our board, actually, we have both Republicans and Democrats on our board. You will not see an endorsement, but we are concerned with public policy that impact the quality of life for African Americans. We speak to it, and we also concerned with public policy that impact all citizens, because equal protection of the law is something we should all be working towards, as well as making sure we are a true democracy and not create barriers to the polling place. And so for us, when we look at that debate, so what does this policy of Project 2025 really mean? And are either one of these candidates actually embracing it? And although we're hearing no, we're not, he's not, but we know the history has shown that he did embrace it, and there is a move to subvert democracy and supplant the ability of citizens, black, white, and others, to truly appreciate all that this country have to give.
So I am curious about the black vote. What are you hearing, Democrats, Republicans, within the black community? Are they excited about this election? Are they fired up about this election? What's the energy like? What are you hearing?
We've seen a 180-degree turn. People were frustrated, the negativity that was coming out of one side, the lack of energy from the other side. We began to see momentum pick up over the last 3 weeks that really feels like 2008 or 2012 than it did this year. I mean, now more than any other time. In 2020, people were voting out of fear because they seen what happened on January 6th. They seen what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. They realized that in a week's time, there was a mass shooting in El Paso targeting the Latino community, in Louisville, Kentucky, targeting the African-American community, and in Pittsburgh, targeting the Jewish community. That level of hate and division would destroy this country. And now this year, we're seeing momentum because there's messages of hope, there's joy, there's smiles, and there's the potential to pivot away from the divisiveness that we've witnessed during this campaign cycle.
I have to ask you this before we go, because she's not talking a lot about it. She's just saying, I'm going to let my work speak for itself. What's it like to see a black woman on the ticket?
I'm going to tell you what it is like to see somebody giving a positive message that's talking about how we move this country forward. We need to be looking towards 2030, not 1930. And so as many people are listening for public policies, they're getting more excited because they hear a vision that's looking forward, not a us versus us paradigm, Americans versus Americans. Men versus women. We should not be in this space. We should be talking about how do we maximize all the talents that our communities bring to bear in a way in which we could continue to be a leading democracy on this globe. Because if we don't and we fall backwards, we would cease to exist as the America that you and I grew up with.
Derrick Johnson, Mr. President, good to see you.
Good to see
Thank you for your time. All right.